The men's and women's track and field teams will compete at the Big Ten Indoor Championships in Geneva, Ohio on Friday and Saturday. Men's team is led by NCAA record holder Michael Learman, while the women enter the weekend as the only ranked team in the Big Ten, owning the highest ranking in school history at number 11 currently. Director of Cross Country and Track and Field Mick Byrne is here, and we'll have an opening statement and then take questions.
At our staff meeting this morning, the buzz about the team was centered on our women's program. Today they're ranked 11th. In the men are 15th. So for the women to be ahead of the men it's been a while since that's happened, and we're excited about that. But the national rankings, as we get into Big Ten competition, kind of go by the wayside because competition is a little bit different, and the fields in the Big Ten are a lot deeper. We feel that we, on the women's side, have a very balanced team, great representation across the board, all events from the short sprints into the distance, middle distance, and obviously the field events. On the women's side and the weight throw, right now Kelsey Card is ranked 4th nationally, 1st in the Big Ten. She's 4th nationally also in the shot put, and 1st in the Big Ten. Sarah DeSenza ranked 1st nationally in the 5,000 meters and also in the Big Ten. Sarah will run the 3,000 meters most likely on Friday and possibly come back on Saturday, depending on how we're doing in the team championship. We feel that we, on the women's distance sides, with Gabby Anzalone, Emelisa Murphy, and Jamie Shannon covering the 5,000 meters, we've 4 women in the top 12. Molly Hansen, who was 3rd in the mile last year, currently ranked 9th, but we feel we can get some good productivity out of Molly in the mile and also in the distance medley relay. Deanna Latham, who's the defending champion in the pentathlon, will not go in the pentathlon, but will run in the 60-meter hurdles, where she's currently ranked 4th. We have a very good freshman in Ebony McClendon in the short sprints, the 60 and the 200 meters, where she's currently ranked 10th and 11th. So overall, as I said, I think we've got a very good, balanced, well-balanced team on the women's side. If you throw in the pentathlon with Georgia Ellenwood, Georgia's going to compete in her first pentathlon this year, and Casey Pollock will join Georgia. And then in the pole vault, Courtney Walden. On the men's side, when you think about defending our championship from last year, we scored 122 points. Of those 122 points, 79 of them between 5 athletes who graduated. We have a pretty daunting task ahead of us this week, but we're going to go in there and give it our best shot. Obviously, the leader of the men's program is Michael Learman, who set a collegiate, Division I collegiate record this past weekend. He'll be joined by Scott Erickson in the weight throw, who's currently 6th in the Big Ten, 17th, 18th on the national list, I believe. In the 3K, Maliki Shroblijan is currently ranked 2nd. Morgan McDonald, the freshman, is currently ranked 3rd. In Russell Sandville, ranked 18th. And the mile, Morgan McDonald currently ranked 8th. And then we're going to go to some young athletes, guys like Aaron Thompson in the 600 meters, Ryan Davis in the 400 meters, Corbin Ellis in the 400 meters, Jesse Johnson in the pole vault. So we're going to be depending on our youth to somehow come up with match the points from last year. That's going to be a tough task.
Brian?
Mick, so the women finished 11th at Big Tens last year, but they're the only nationally ranked team going in this year. How has it been able to turn around like that?
I think last year at Big Ten meet, after the men won, we invited all our women out onto the arena, the center of the arena, when they were presenting the men with the trophy, and we challenged them to be better. in the growth in the last year has been remarkable. You have great leadership in women like Deanna Latham, Angela Boucher. They've been around at the Big Ten championships for a long time and compete well at the Big Ten. And when you have athletes like that, Sarah DeSenza obviously leading the nation in the 5,000 meters and can run a pretty good 3,000 meters. You know, they see that leadership up on top, and it's paying off for the younger women.
Dan?
Your predecessor always talked about Big Ten championships are won with the 5th through 8th place finishes. Do you agree with that? And how does the team look in those areas?
Oh, absolutely. In terms of the women, I think we're going to be looking for the support cast is huge for us. Courtney Walden, Taylor Ammon in the pole vault, Casey Pollock in the pentathlon, and then there's a lot of points to be grabbed in the 3K, the 5K, and the mile. You don't win Big Ten meets just by winning the event. You have to have a supporting cast to grab those lower points.
For someone like Michael, he's basically competing against himself at this point. How impressive is it that he can keep pushing himself to break his own records and other records?
Well, I guess on paper it may look that way, but in terms of the Big Ten, the weight throw has just gone out of control. We have two athletes right now currently over 80 feet, and there's Purdue have a great athlete, and so has Michigan State. This competition is not over. Michael knows that he's going to have to perform at his very best to beat Purdue and Michigan State. Both of those athletes are very, very capable at throwing 80, 81 meters. So when you look at the event again, nationally, there's six guys in the top 18 in the Big Ten nationally.
Mick, can you help me pronounce Purdue's weight thrower's name?
You got me on that one. I apologize. No.
Michael seems to be a very outgoing, effervescent. He's got a personality about him, doesn't he?
Certainly does. I think it's the nature of the nature of the event. When you get into the shot put, the weight throw, those guys have a bit of swagger about them. Look at the size of them for first; they're imposing. And with that height and size comes a bit of an attitude. And I think when you're leading the nation, you have to have a bit of an attitude because everybody's gunning for you. And Michael certainly has a bit of swagger about him. He'll certainly have to carry that into the Big Ten meet this weekend, and hopefully he will.
Dan?
This is the 3rd year that the meet has been combined men's and women's. How much do the teams feed off each other? And like you said earlier, with the women's team watching the men win it last year.
That's a great question, and I, for one, certainly believe that it's, both teams help each other out. For us, now that we're a combined program, our women are excited about where they're at. There's, walking around, they have a little bit of cockiness about them. They're ahead of the men on the national poll, and that's good. It's great for the older girls who struggled, with the team over the last 3 or 4 years, and now they're the ones walking around with that little bit of swagger. And that's exciting to see, and hopefully that'll rub off on the younger athletes this weekend.
Andy?
Mick, would you say you went about this process of, motivating the men's and the women's programs? Did you go about it delicately, or were you a little more forceful with regards to how these teams have starting to feed off one another now?
Well, if you know me, you know that I put my foot in my mouth quite often. So. I don't think I was the most politically correct when we were at the Big Tens last year, but the girls got the message, and just to hear a few of them, like, we're tired of this. This, stinks. It's this is not what we bought into, and I remember at one stage, and as the men won the event, and the women were over to the side, and it looked totally, absolutely dejected. And when we invited them into the circle with the men, I think they felt that power. They felt that, you know, that they were all, it was an all-inclusive program, and they wanted to be part of a winning program. And when you look and see what they've done really over the last 3 or 4 weekends, it's pretty amazing.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thanks, Mick.